inside my heart, a beacon when the land is dark, singing like the morning lark. Tonight, when shadows fill the day,
I'm here today to do a start-to-finish mix on a really complicated and in-depth dependent track by the artist Lena Anderson. Lena is an incredibly talented artist from the Faroe Islands that came over to the States to record this back in 2018 with the late, unbelievably great Geoff Emerick. Geoff Emerick produced and engineered a bunch of these tracks, and then they sat on it for a couple years trying to figure out what they really wanted to do with the project. A lot of it was the sadness of after he passed suddenly. They were unsure about finishing the album. I was contacted by Nicholas over the Faroe Islands, and Lena's guitarist and arranges and is also the co-producer of this project. There was always one song that stuck out to me when I ended up mixing the entire album, and that was The Lark. It's a really, really complicated session. So saddle up, partner. It's gonna be a long ride. The Lark is a really special track because it incorporates all types of genres. It's got a middle section that's incredibly heavy and dark and deep. It's got a lot of orchestra arrangements, I think a 25-piece orchestra, piano, a lot of electric guitar. Lots to do, lots to worry about, and we're gonna jump right in and take our time and get it done right. Let's get started.
Still the lonely lark tells stories of the midnight moonshine.
This song has so many different little sections that I feel like, because it's so big and massive, we haven't even brought in any of the vocals, any of the guitars. It's gonna get really sticky really quickly if we don't watch it. So I'm trying to keep the drums up, trying to keep the piano very bright and in your face. Once I start bringing guitars and stuff, definitely going to get a little awkward. So the one thing I do want to know, going back to the piano, is I had the Fairchild, but it was not working on the other version. So I remember not needing to put that on this section and knowing that the Pulsar Very Mew sounds really freaking good. I'm going to start from the beginning and just really focus on this piano. I've been a real big fan the last year or two of using dynamic EQ on problematic areas instead of just cutting twice as much. It seems to help things a lot because it's basically giving back that frequency when it's not there. So if there's an overtone or there's a part or it's a different key it's falling in, it seems to work really well versus cutting at, let's say, 5 dB here. I am a fan of parallel compression on piano, but for this track, I feel like because it's so delicate and there's too many different sections of the piano that I have to be very cautious of not being too aggressive on the aspect parts that don't need to be. Like the beginning of this song needs to be very open. It doesn't need a lot of level. It doesn't need a lot of energy until things start kicking in. Combined, those chords sounded a little goofy together. Put a tiny bit of plate reverb, which is the Abbey Road plate. My favorite for acoustic guitar, just enough to sweeten it. Interesting sound in piano when it kicks in. There's a little bit of a weird there it is. Again, a little tickle. Okay, moving right along. We have the acoustics in. I'm going to start finessing those. Drums feel pretty good. They might be a little loud until we get the vocals in. But if we look at our master, pretty good. I'm going to automate the bass EQ because I feel like the brightness I've added in this section again is a little too honky. So let's just put that in here. What band is this? This is band 1. All right, let's go back. Band 1. Gain on the actual Q3 of the aux. I want to make sure I'm just pulling it down a little bit on this intro half. Just a little bit, because there's nothing really happening and the bass needs to have a little bit more personality when the drums kick in. And a lot of that is coming out of the finger noise. So I'm automating, again, just a little bit of this gain. to bring it down. So if you look here, it's back to normal. It's actually taking a tiny bit underneath, which is fine. I like the overtones of those guitars.